police officer looked at me the way people look at ghosts, half curious, half afraid, and said words that stopped my heart colder than the winter rain soaking my coat. "Sir," he said gently, "according to our records, you died 3 years ago." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because if I didn't laugh, I might have collapsed right there on the cracked tile floor of the station. "My name is Ned Harper," I said. "I'm standing right in front of you." The officer swallowed, turned his screen toward me, and there it was in black and white. Edward Ned Harper, deceased. Cause of death, natural causes. Informant, my daughter Linda. That was the moment I understood why my front door had new locks, why my bank card stopped working, and why the house I built with my own hands no longer felt like mine. Let me tell you how a man can be erased while still breathing. 3 years earlier, I'd left town quietly, not to disappear, just to survive. After my wife Martha passed away, the house became unbearable. Every corner echoed with her voice. Every night the silence screamed. So when an old army buddy called from another state, offering a job watching over a rural storage yard and a small room to stay in, I took it. I didn't think to announce it to everyone. I called Linda once. She sounded busy. I called again weeks later. No answer. Life goes on, I told myself. She has her own family. What I didn't know was that my absence was an opportunity. When my arthritis worsened and my eyesight faded, I lost that job. I spent months drifting, cheap motels, church shelters, kind strangers. I kept meaning to go home, but shame is a heavy thing. How do you knock on your own door when you've failed at growing old gracefully? By the time I finally returned to my town, thinner and slower, my home didn't recognize me. The porch swing was gone. The blue paint Martha loved was replaced with cold gray, and when I tried my key, it didn't fit. A young couple answered the door, strangers. They stared at me like I was a madman when I said, "This is my house." Police were called. That's how I ended up at the station, being told I was legally dead. Linda had filed the death report. She brought a forged doctor's note, claimed she handled the funeral privately, and transferred the property under her name as next of kin. She sold the house 6 months later. 3 years I was mourned without being missed. I asked the officer one question: why wasn't I contacted? He hesitated. Your daughter said you had no other family, no close contacts. I felt something inside me crack, not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet break like an old bone giving up. But here's the thing about being old and broken: you learn patience, and patience, when sharpened, becomes power. The system didn't believe me at first. A dead man has no rights, but fingerprints don't lie, neither does DNA. After days of verification, paperwork, and confusion, the truth clawed its way back into daylight. I was officially alive again. And Linda, she was suddenly very hard to reach. A legal aid lawyer took my case. Pro bono, he said, shaking his head. This is one of the worst cases of elder fraud I've seen. We uncovered everything: the fake documents, the rushed sale, the money trail. Linda hadn't just taken my house, she'd emptied my accounts and claimed survivor benefits. When the police finally knocked on her door, she cried, said she thought I was dead, said she was just handling things. But paperwork tells the real story. She was arrested. The court hearings were exhausting. Sitting there, listening to my own daughter explain why I didn't matter enough to check on, was harder than any physical pain I known. She avoided my eyes the entire time. The judge didn't. In the end, the sale of the house was reversed due to fraud. The buyers were compensated by insurance. My accounts were partially restored. Linda received a sentence, light, some might say, but enough to mark the truth in public record. As for the house, I didn't move back in. Some places hold too many ghosts. Instead, I sold it myself, legally this time, and used the money to buy a small place near the river. 1 floor, big windows, quiet mornings. I volunteer twice a week at the senior center now, helping people fill out forms, make calls, stay visible. Because that's the real danger. Not dying. Being forgotten. A few weeks ago, the same police officer who told me I was dead stopped by the center. He smiled awkwardly and said, "Good to see you, Mr. Harper." I smiled back. "Funny thing," I said, "turns out coming back from the dead gives you a second life." He laughed, but I meant it. Linda lost a father the day she decided I was already gone. But I found something else. My name. My truth. And the quiet strength of a man who learned that even if the world writes you off, you can still stand up, breathe deep and say, "I'm not dead yet."